Hi, and welcome back to the Greenwash Podcast. My name is Sania, and today we are going to be talking about furniture, specifically fast furniture and the harm it has on the environment and what we can do about it. Now, once again, if you're going to talk about the topic I've chosen today and how in each episode I choose a different product to come for, please know that in this podcast, my goal is to come after everything you love. My goal is to come after every product you use and talk about how unsustainable it is. Well, I'm joking, but that is kind of a little bit, I have to say, a little bit of my goal in terms of just making us think about the things we use every day, and furniture is one of them. Now, when I bring up fast furniture, I do get like a lot of, at first, blank looks, I'll say, because people don't usually think about furniture when they think about unsustainable products. The first thing that comes to mind are like the more frivolous things like plastic bags, bottles, or I'd say fast fashion. And then I bring up furniture and I get a blank look, and then I see people thinking about it, and it's like, oh, that makes sense. Like, I understand. Like, we could be producing so much furniture that it becomes unsustainable. I get it now. And it is one of the things that basically, when you think about it, it makes sense, but you don't really think about it often. It's not something that's brought up often. But I do want to shine a bit of a spotlight on fast furniture today, in specifically what people are doing about it. And I do have to say, before we get into this, that I might be a little late. For once, this is not something I am newly reporting. For once, this is something that I feel companies have kind of spotted before I or others could, bandwagon onto it and start talking about it. So, first things first, Ikea. We all know Ikea, we all love Ikea, or at least we used to love Ikea when we were young enough to go play in the playground, and then we aged out of it, and then we were just banded to a life of pushing the shopping cart around while your mom spends 20 minutes in the plant section. Ikea, specifically Ikea of Sweden, has said in a statement that lifespan estimation may vary for its furniture, and that customers are encouraged to repair, resell, or return products they can no longer use. Along with Ikea, Wayfair, another furniture company, has said through a spokesperson that we sell an extensive range of furniture products across all styles and price points, adding that some are meant to last for generations as well as furniture that meets customer needs for affordability. Now you're wondering, why are these companies making these kinds of statements? Like, what's the context? What's the reason? And that is because of the large consumer shift we've seen to conscious spending and ecologically conscious resource marketing. This is something that we have all observed, and even though we might not immediately think about furniture has been hit by the sort of wave of new age thinking. And that is why you have companies like Ikea and Wayfair all of a sudden scrambling to bust out these sustainability claims or these promises of being sustainable in the future. And now, going into the nitty-gritty facts of fast furniture, we cannot deny that it is a large problem. Each year, Americans throw out more than 12 million tons of furniture, creating mountains of solid waste that have grown 450% since the 1960s, according to the EPA, or Environmental Protection Agency. So, bits of tossed furniture can be recycled, but the vast majority do end up in landfills, and, that's an unfortunate truth. Along with that, I do want to encourage you to think about maybe the last time you went furniture shopping or shopping for like a bed frame or a book cabinet or anything like that. And I want you to think about the last time you saw furniture that was 100% made of either wood or metal. And you might have seen quite a few, but not all. In fact, maybe not even half. Most fast furniture is furniture made without the human hand, and that's a bit of an artsy way to say it, but basically it is furniture that is often automatically made or made without any sort of woodwork or craftsmanship, and it is often not made of wood or metal, but plastic and also vinyl. And also, thin plywood coated in plastic. There are many ways to get around it, but that's usually what fast furniture is made of. And that also contributes to the fact that it is very unsustainable, both for the rate it's being created at and also the material it uses. And this is a fast-growing industry for sure. This is not only a problem we do have, but a problem that is growing. The e-commerce furniture market alone was worth more than $27 billion in 2021, and it's projected to reach more than $40 billion by 2030, according to a report from Next Move Strategy Consulting. Now, once again, I implore you to think about maybe the last time you bought furniture, and I want you to think about what materials it was made out of. And then the third thing I want to take a minute to acknowledge is maybe how long you've had that furniture. Now, when I think about furniture, I think I'd say, to be fair, I am a college student, so it's not like I own any furniture. But if I think about maybe my family's furniture, I can think of several pieces that we've had for very, very long. And I do owe that in fact that I feel like those are pieces that were made to last. In taking all of this into consideration, right, all of the facts I just spit out right now, Wayfair, once again, in terms of that statement that I had said right in the beginning of this, they have pledged in its most recent corporate responsibility report to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, mainly created by the production and shipment of its products, by 63% by 2035. Along with Wayfair, the other person who made the statement, which was Ikea, has laid out a bold climate goal, saying that they vow to become fully circular, using only recycled or renewable materials and creating zero waste by 2030. So, first of all, on the clock, they've got 7 years, so we'll check in with them then. But these are bold claims to make, right? And it seems like at first, at least Ikea for now, is kind of keeping up with that. So, in the 2021 fiscal year, more than 99% of their wood was either recycled or certified by the Forest Stewardship Council, or the FSC, as being sourced responsibly. 14% was fully recycled. So we're making some progress there, right, as verified by the FSC. However, which is something you're going to hear me say a lot in this podcast, there is something that has to be said about all of IKEA's methods, which might not be as clean as they seem. In 2020, an investigation by Earthsight found that IKEA has been making beechwood chairs using illegally sourced wood from the forests of Ukraine's Carpathian region, which is an area home to endangered beasts like bears, lynxes, wolves, and bison. Now, that's terrible, of course, we know, right? But you're thinking, how have we not heard about this sooner? The most shocking thing about this case is that the illegal timber was certified by the FSC themselves, the Forest Stewardship Council. Now, taking that into account, this oversight raises serious questions about the ethics and transparency of the FSC's accreditation, which is, according to Earthsight, not limited to Ukraine. That's something very deeply to think about, and I will probably get into it in many later episodes. I think I've been keeping things tame so far, but you do have to start thinking about not only are these things up to the consumer, but you have to think about how much goes behind the scenes of these so-called sustainability movements. So just keeping in mind there that not even IKEA is completely clean. The part of the problem is that fast furniture can be more challenging to repair because of its materials. Once again, going back to the vinyl, the plastic, and the plywood with the plastic over it. It's pretty easy to sand and refinish a solid hardwood wardrobe, but something like a particle board TV stand with a laminate finish, which you've probably seen a lot in one of your stores, is a lot harder, in fact, sometimes impossible to repair when the surface is damaged. Along with that, you have to think about the fact that sometimes when you buy furniture, and these things have certain upkeep safety measures. So if you think about when you buy a piece of furniture and you think about the warranty that it accumulates, you also have to think about the fact that a lot of cheaper pieces that end up being part of the fast furniture movement usually do not even come with warranties. So if you buy something, let's say off of not even Etsy. In fact, Etsy, as we will see later in this, could also be a force for good in this case. But when you buy something off of, let's say, maybe Walmart furniture, and it is an entire bed frame for $100, you are usually not getting any sort of warranty with that. It is something that is not meant to be protected for as long as possible, but meant to be bought quickly and easily. An artist I want to bring to mind is Harry Nureyev, who is a Russian artist, and he made a sofa out of trash bags as an art piece that is hung right now in an exhibition. And he has stated that people have started to treat furniture like a fashion, where we can change our decisions very quickly, moving around and buying things. He's made a very apt point in the sense that we think once again about, and this is something I've been bringing up every episode of the podcast, but you have to think about what we are doing in terms of consumerism, how we are thinking about using furniture. I think it's definitely true that people have been more lenient about the usage of furniture, buying it, trashing it. More trends have appeared, the result of micro trends now, because the social media encourages people to use furniture more frivolously or buy something that's more on trend or trendy and less timeless. And we are not only just because of our population, but just because of the way we consume and the way trends are evolving and the way our mindset is evolving, have been using furniture so much more than we used to. In fact, I want you to think, I'm saying I want you to think a lot, but I really do want you to think about the fact that maybe in years before, how we used to use more aged pieces. If you think about maybe the bed frame that your parents had and how long that lasted, or the coffee table that your grandmother had and how long that lasted. Things seem to be built more to last than before, and what we had to sacrifice in terms of that was maybe having trendy pieces, but instead we gained the sense of, okay, we are getting pieces that are made to keep with us for a long time, pieces that are made to be passed down, and that also references the warranty things. Trends in furniture have wasted so much material, and they have increased almost 5 times since the 1960s, unfortunately. And one force, I would say, that might be responsible for a bit of these trends is HGTV. Now, if you're like me, you I'd say at least semi-grew up on HGTV. I definitely had a small obsession, which is watching it for hours when I was younger. It was a bit fascinating to me to see how people would decorate all of their houses and how, you would flip a house or flop a house. And HGTV is definitely a force that has sparked a lot of home renovating social media or apartment makeover social media or any type of marketing or media that is just created around how people decorate their homes. And that has to do with furniture. So we see an explosion of different types of bed frame styles or different types of coffee table styles and different types of things that you want to put in your home. However, and this is me giving HGTV credit, I feel as though they have maybe recognized that the impact they have on fast furniture because they are also very much highlighting things you can do to have sustainable furniture practices. So they have already jumped onto this wave. They have very recently released an article called Affordable Furniture and Decor That's Made to Last. And certain taglines include, and I'm going to say this in the HGT voice, fill your home with pieces you'll enjoy for years to come with these furnishing that won't break the bank. Or, HGTV.com says forget the trends and look for timeless furniture pieces you'll love to have, even 30 years from now. And, from their TV show Sustainable Design, be good to the earth with these eco-friendly home design ideas, tips, and projects from HGTV. Now, I am slightly mocking them, but I do want to acknowledge the fact that they have fully recognized the impact that they have on the homeowners community and the furniture community, and what they can do to promote among their consumers and people who watch them to look for timeless pieces, to have furniture that they are going to keep for a long time. Keeping that into account, now, just because I made everything a bit depressing, I want to go into the solutions. So, once again, as our friend/foe Ikea said in the beginning, they are thinking about implementing the concept of circular design. So, the concept of circular design has gained increasing traction over the last decade. In the circular system, furniture products would be made without virgin materials such as the materials that come directly from the source that me and Amani were making fun of last episode, and be designed to last longer and be fully reusable or recyclable, thus forming a closed loop. IKEA is already pledging to use circular design, and not just IKEA. Many different furniture retailers and furniture companies have talked about opening up sites where people can come and deliver furniture back to them when it is no longer usable to reuse the materials. That is something I think is a step, of course, in the right direction. It's something I even brought up with the water bottles episode just last time, where it only matters if you are able to reuse and recycle the materials and if you are able to actually put them back into the cycle, if you're actually able to complete the circle. Only then does it have some sort of impact on what we are consuming. Another thing that I'm sure many of you have heard of is buying secondhand furniture. Now, if any of you used to watch this YouTuber when you were younger named Best Dressed, I used to watch her a little bit religiously, and one of my favorite videos on YouTube of all time was her apartment makeover, where just in her process of trying to find different pieces for her apartment, had just immediately gone to a thrift store. And I still remember her going through all of these very unique looking pieces, which I will say, even though I might be discouraging trend buying right now, Those vintage, sort of old retro pieces that are more eclectic and more unique are in trend right now, so I would encourage you to go to thrift stores and buy secondhand just like she did. And I still remember her getting a dresser for literally $1. Now, I don't know how she got the dresser for $1. Someone might have died on that dresser. However, she did also show her purchasing this dresser for $1 and then also refurbishing the dresser and fixing it up, because it is important to acknowledge that usually furniture pieces that you're going to find secondhand might not always be brand new. They might have some chips, some dents, but these can usually be fixed enough that you usually won't even notice the difference once you've put a bit of work in. And for a reduced price and something that's more sustainable and also adds a bit of character to your home rather than the very just drab minimalist aesthetic that we see being pushed in a lot of HGTV magazines, I think that it's worth it to buy secondhand furniture. In fact, there is a lot of data to back that up too, rather than just following the trends, which is just that new furniture releases the highest concentration of volatile organic compounds, VOCs, in the first year of its life. So buying secondhand is not only good for the planet, but better for your health. On top of that, exploring secondhand and vintage shops where you can find the beautiful and quality furniture, you can pick up some great bargains or buy upcycled furniture from places like Etsy, which is what I was talking about beforehand. I've seen a lot of secondhand furniture on Etsy, and I've seen them for, great prices, and ones that you can in fact buy for reduced prices, which many retail stores will not even give you the opportunity to do. A lot of times, buying secondhand is you completing the circle, rather than waiting for companies to have their consumers deliver broken chairs and broken headboards back to them so that they can recycle the wood or metal. You can take part of it by using pieces that have already been put out into the world and giving it a new life. Along with that, I also want to bring up the fact when I was telling you, remember your grandmother's dresser, I was talking about the fact that, and this applies for so many products, but especially for furniture, things that were older were usually built to have lasted longer, right? Just given by selection bias, by the fact that they're still here and sitting in your Goodwill today. Products that were older, unfortunately, were made with better quality and were made to last longer and were made to be less temporary. So you are usually getting a better deal in terms of buyer satisfaction when you are getting these secondhand pieces that are a bit older. On top of that, I want to talk about buying fewer items of better quality, which is what I had just said before. Although you do see a prevalent rise in fast furniture today, and that usually when you first start searching for bed frames near me, that is the first option you get. There still are quite a lot of furniture stores that sell less furniture, but a higher price and usually better quality. Think about like maybe the Reformation of furniture. I do encourage buying fewer items of better quality there. And one article I had seen actually brought up a very intelligent method of sort of weeding these things out. So the method is to kind of think about, in your home, what furniture do you need? Do you need your bed, your dresser, your coffee table, your dinner table, some chairs? Of course, there are additional ones, but let's think about those first, right? Usually when buying your furniture, not everyone has the budget to just buy all of those items for a higher price or higher quality. Maybe you move a lot, or maybe you just can't afford them, which is fair, right? So the idea is to prioritize what furniture you think is more important. So for instance, if you think the dinner table is far more important to your apartment, it's something you're going to use a lot more, and you think that that one is something that needs to be better quality and built a lot stronger, you are encouraged to invest in a good dinner table, and then maybe you can skimp out on a coffee table and just get a cheaper version for that. And vice versa, if instead of the dinner table, you feel like the bed frame or a bookshelf or a good bookshelf is most important for your apartment and it's something you want to buy a lot, then you have to do something like that, where you essentially just budget what you can buy a better quality and make sure you do. Along with that, there is style consideration. Back again to the HGTV article, which is saying to forget the trends and look for timeless furniture pieces you'll love to have even 30 years from now. For certain pieces, not all. I'm not saying to give up anything trendy or eclectic or the funky, center table ideas you see on TikTok, like the quote-unquote tile and grout studio table, which some of you might have seen, the pink tile table. I'm not saying you have to give up all of that, but I am saying that you should do best to pick certain pieces or certain things in your home that you would like to have that would be better quality, and make sure that when you buy the better quality ones, they're pieces or they're of the style that is more simplistic, more timeless, that you will still appreciate and will still go with your home, but something that is maybe less on the trendy side and something that you can truly say, it might not be the most interesting piece, but this is something I will still like and that will still go with my decor even 30 years from now. Now, on top of just the long lecture I gave you on furniture buying, I do also want to highlight furniture rental companies. So, even if you can't afford to wholeheartedly buy and own super high quality items, there are many furniture rental companies that actually work well for people who move often. One thing I've seen often is people say, okay, when I have to move often, usually I leave my furniture on the sidewalk or I put it, back in the Goodwill, or I do something with them, or I have to get rid of them somehow because shipping them across the country every time I have to move is very difficult. Well, there are certain companies that will take away that burden for you. One example I want to bring up is Los Angeles startup Furnish, with an E, so Fernish. And they give consumers the option to rent preferred items on a monthly or contract basis. So I think this is a great idea to kind of have the best of all worlds. The one thing you are giving up is the fact that you will not be able to own this furniture, so passing it down is not an option. Taking it with you, depending on how long you rent it, might not be an option. And of course, there might be a certain point, just like when it comes to renting an apartment versus buying a house, where renting it for a very long time might be more expensive than buying it. But if you know that your situation is a situation in which you will have to give up furniture pretty easily, and you know that you're not going to be able to take furniture with you for quite a few years until you really settle down somewhere, this, I think, is a great option. It gives you the option of trying different styles, trying the trendier styles that I diss so often, or trying different methods of where you want to put things, and basically just different items. It gives you that flexibility of the kind of frivolous consumerism without the ecological waste. All you have to do is rent it and then give it back when your time is up or whenever you decide to stop renting it. On top of that, they do recycle items. So, to recycle items, the company uses part and fabric replacement, plus an 11-step sanitation and refurbishment process, usually using sustainably sourced materials, which is something I think is an extremely great bonus for your furniture. On top of that, the next solution I want to talk about is simply, and I put this in all caps in my notes, keep your furniture. So, keeping your furniture is usually dependent on whether or not your furniture is lasting, but I do encourage you, if you have done everything I've said up till now, which is buying certain pieces, maybe not all, because I understand that you can't always afford them, especially in the time we're in right now, but buying certain pieces that are important to you, that are timeless so that they go with everything and they can go with you for a long time. Something that is a bit older and maybe more well-built, whether that, be more aged or more expensive or both, right? And if you do those, you will be able to keep it for a long time in style-wise and also just structure-wise, right? And this is truly probably the fluffiest thing I've said in the entirety of this podcast, but there is such an appeal in being able to pass down your furniture to someone, whether it be family members or friends or maybe like your neighbor if you want to play the part of Hallmark grandma for a while, where you mysteriously say, I'm leaving all my furniture to you. There is an aspect of having furniture that you've had for such a long time. It saves you money. It builds importance. Things do just gain importance with age. Just a regular dresser becomes an incredible dresser when you know you've had it for 30 years or that it's lasted you for that long. And I do have to encourage to just literally keep your furniture and make sure to build your things around each other and to coordinate all of your stuff. All in all, I do want to say that ultimately, the trends around fast furniture are changing as preferences shift to conscious consumerism. The idea of preference, convenience, and affordability, sure, while becoming keenly aware of how your individual consumption impacts society, is important to maybe look within yourself and think, how am I going to implement these things into what I buy? Once again, no one really thinks about furniture when they think about unsustainable products. But furniture is a huge problem that we have to tackle, and it is something that, once again, is a group effort. We already have so much furniture waste in landfills that we have to recycle, or furniture that is already out and about in the circuit. So if there's anything I can leave you with today, it is not that I'm trying to come after all of your favorite products, but just that there are different ways you can use things. And I do have to encourage you at the end of the day to, I'd say, complete the circle. This is Sania Kirshengar. Thank you so much for listening, and I will see you next time on the next episode of the Greenwash Podcast. Thank you so much.